The European Media Freedom Act, shield for journalists or framework for information control. The European Union presents the European Media Freedom Act as a landmark defense of journalism, democracy, and editorial independence. Supporters describe it as a necessary response to a political pressure on reporters, hidden media ownership, spyware scandals, and the growing influence of a massive digital platformers over public debates. But critics argue the story is far more complicated. Behind the language of protection and transparency lies a deeper question. Is the European Media Freedom Act genuinely defending press freedom? Or is it quietly constructing the legal infrastructure for centralized information control across all Europe? This is not a debate about obvious censorship. Modern democratic system rarely silence speech through brute force alone. Control today is often softened, procedural, administrative, and rapid in a legal terminology that sounds responsible on the surface. The concern is not that the EU openly intends to create a ministry of trust. The concern is whatever laws written to protect democracy can later become tools that shape and manage acceptable discourse. One of the most controversial sections of the Act is Article 17, which introduced special procedure protection for recognized media organizations when platforms attempt to moderate or remove their content. Supporters says this prevents large tech companies from arbitrarily censoring journalism. They argue that social media platforms and automated moderation systems have become too powerful, often removing legitimate reporting by mistake. But critics warn Article 17 may create two tiers media system. Independent creators, citizen journalists, and smaller outlets may find themselves outside the protected category, while large institutional publishers gain privileged status. The issue is not simply censorship, it is the possibility of institutional gatekeeping hidden behind regulatory language. Another major concern involves surveillance. The Act formally restricts spyware and introduces monitoring against journalists. On paper, this appeared to be a major victory for press freedom. Europe has already witnessed spyware scandals involving journalists and political opponents in multiple countries. Yet the law still preserves broad national security expansions. Critics argue this creates a dangerous contradiction. Surveillance is prohibited in principle, while remaining permissible under flexible security justifications. History shows that governments often expand the definition of a national security during periods of a crisis, political instability, terrorist threats, or social unrest. What began as an emergency extension can gradually become a normalized practice. This is where fears about centralized informational governments emerge. Critics worry that even without direct censorship, government can exert pressure indirectly by shaping the incentives platforms operate under. Authorities do not necessarily need to order content removal outright. Instead, platforms may begin to moderate more aggressively to avoid legal exposure, political conflicts, or regulatory scrutiny. This creates what many describe as a chilling effect. Journalists and independent outlets may being self-censored, not because they are explicitly banned, but because uncertainty itself becomes a form of a pressure. If you like this video, give it a thumb up and share it. Don't forget to check out Simon Tips, your go-to spot for everything you wanna know.